Hi, I'm Mike Taccino with Emerson, and I'm sharing more tech tips to help you get the most value from your DeltaV FB3000 RTU and FB series flow computer. Today, I will be demoing the script tool within DeltaV's FBxConnect software. Scripting allows customers to rapidly accomplish routine operations. It's great for repeatable activities where rather than having to routinely apply the same values to multiple DeltaV FB3000 RTUs, you can create a script that sets it up multiple times with a single click on each of those devices. You edit scripts directly in the script developer and run them with Script Runner. These script files are stored on the PC, and all of the commands used in the scripts are built from functionality already in use by the DeltaV FBxConnect configuration software. However, the script runner bypasses the need to load up the displays and executes these commands directly. You can use the scripts to run test sequences to verify functionality in a panel shop or lab environment before installing in the field as well. You can use scripts to automate certain day-to-day tasks that you might need to perform. So for today, I will be giving you a short overview, but there's a great in-depth reference guide called the Script Developer User Manual that has step-by-step examples and a listing of all the commands you can utilize. So for today's demo, I will be showing you 3 examples of scripting. First is how to save reports and files for backup purposes, then write the configuration to the flash backup. The second will be how to ensure that you have the correct firmware version by checking the firmware version and updating it if required. The third would be how to ensure accurate data entry of your component values by writing the components with a simple one-click script and using something we call a recipe file to ensure that all the values are as expected rather than typing them in manually. So with that, let's get started. For the first demo today, I'll show you how to run a script first and then go into the details of how I created that script. I'll launch here DeltaV's FBxConnect Launchpad. I will log in with my username and password here, and you can see here my list of devices in my tree that I can make a connection to. Now if I right click on a particular FB3000 RTU here, you'll see the option to run script where you can point to a script already developed. So I'm going to point this to a script file here, and when I run this, you'll see it makes a connection to this particular device I selected, and then it prompts me for the credentials to log into that particular device. So I'll do that here. It will log in and then start running the script, and you can see it will first upload the solution file and then do various other tasks. And I'll show you this once it's complete. Alright, now you can see the script completed. So it uploaded the solution file to my computer and saved off the alarm, events, and history reports to my PC as well. Then saved the device's configuration into its own flash. Now I'll show you how I created the script. So the script developer portion of the utility is under the DeltaV FBxConnect folder here, and it's called scripting. If I open that, you'll see it's a blank slate to start. I'll open up the saved script I just ran here to show you what it did. So you can see here on the first line, there's a connect command. I could connect and hard code any of the names here if I wanted. However, I find it a bit easier to use a $A1 symbol, which passes through the connection name when you right click on each item in the list here into the script, and it'll connect to that specific FB3000 RTU or FB series flow computer, whichever you right click. The second line here shows the solution upload command, where you're saving it to the PC that's running the script, and then it shows here the format that you want the file to save in. So let me go show you where I saved off this list of files we recorded from the device. So right here is where I saved the files. You can see here I've got my solution.zsl here, as well as the various alarms and events and history files. So right here it indicates the $A1 here passes through into the file name, the connection name, and then the $D is the date, and the $T is the timestamp. So you can save off date and timestamp files pretty easily with this utility. And then I've got also my alarm report saved here, my event report saved here, and the history report. Then this command triggers the device to save its configuration into its own flash backup memory. So that's the first demonstration here. Next, I will show you a script that will check the firmware version and update it or not depending on the version number. So I'll show you a script I've already got written up called firmware update and step you through how it works. Once again, the first line here is connect with a $A1 to allow me to pass in the connection name into the script. The second line here is an if statement, and this if statement uses a $firmware version local variable which updates depending on if the connection is successful or not. So when this connection goes through, it'll go read automatically this local variable, which brings back the firmware version of whichever device it's connected to. And then this if statement here checks, so EQ here means equals, if that firmware version of the connected device is equal to what I've typed in here is the current latest released version of firmware for the FB3000 RTU. Then I've got text here saying label 1, which means that if this statement is true, it will jump down to label 1 and then continue down executing the next commands. So after label 1, you can see here I've got the echo command, which outputs text to the PC while running the script, so whoever's running it can see what's happening. So it'll say to the person running, hey, the firmware is already up to date. If the statement here is false, it will continue on down. Once again, the echo command will be next, and it'll indicate that the firmware update is needed. Then it'll go ahead and update the firmware with this command here, and I've got it pointing to the proper version of firmware saved on this PC. Then it'll use this go to command to jump to the label 2 and indicate to the user that the script is finished successfully. So let's give this a try. I'll go ahead and right click on this panel FB3000 RTU here, run the script, and it'll prompt me for my username and password for this particular FB3000 RTU. I'll log in and I'll go ahead and execute those commands in that script. So you can see here the firmware already up to date text appears, so that means that I'm good on this device, no need to update. Let's try another one here. Run the script here. I'll go ahead and log in here. And then this device does tell me a firmware update's needed, so I'll give it some time to do that. All right, now you can see the script completed successfully and did update the firmware as expected. Now, doing a script to update firmware does save you time and helps you ensure the proper version rather than having to launch the FBxConnect configuration tool and browse to the screen where you can manually check the firmware version, then point the FB3000 to the saved proper firmware version on your PC. You save a lot of time by not doing that, and you ensure accuracy also by not doing that. There's a lot of room for error in visually checking the firmware version and making sure you're pointing to the right file. With the script, it's one click in the field. Very easily go ahead and update this without having to worry about making mistakes with version numbers using the script tool. Another example of how you can keep configuration consistent and prevent inaccurate data entry is to make use of recipe files. I'll open up a recipe file here. They've got an extension of .rcp, and they can either be read from a device or written to the device depending on your scripting commands. In this example recipe file, I've got the gas component override fields, then I've got their data type and the values I would like to write down to the end device. In the script here, I'll open it up, and you can see what it does is it connects to the target device, uses the recipe write command to write the recipe, so this list of parameters essentially and their values down to the device, then uses the write parameter to apply the components from override into the selected mode so they're in use by the flow calculations. Now I've got a connection to FBxConnect here with the component screen up here so we can see the live data as we run the script. So I'll move this to the side here, go back to my DeltaV FBxConnect Launchpad screen here, and then I'll run the script here. So what it's doing is writing that recipe file down, but first it does make the connection, so I will have to log in. And once I'm logged in, it'll go ahead and write that recipe file down so you can see the values were written down here, and then they were applied into use, so they were in the selected value here. They were moved over, and there you go. Really easy way to update your components without having to worry about mistyping the values by hand. You could also write a script that updates multiple sets of gas components at the same time. So this script here, it connects to two devices, the FB3000 cube and the panel FB3000, and updates the components. Now, I'm basically in this first one, I'm re-updating those, so it doesn't quite make sense for a real world application to do that over and over again, but for demo purposes, I'll show you that. So this is connecting to that first device, writing down the values, and then connecting to the next device on the list here and writing down those values as well. And then both those particular FB3000 RTUs will have the same components as outlined in my recipe file. So you can see this is a great feature to ensure consistency across your various field devices. Another useful feature is that you can run a script in the command line. So if I go down here to my folder with the demo scripts for today. I'll click in there, press Shift, and right click, and then I can open up PowerShell here to show you how that's done. So what I'll do here is I'll write the command FBxScript runner, the name of the script file. So I will be using this one, gas components write recipe. Then I can put the name of the RTU to pass in to this script here that I want to connect to. So I'll type in the name and I'll press enter. It will launch the script runner. It will then prompt me to log in here. And it will run the script that way. So there's another option. You can run it in the command prompt for certain use cases that might be valuable to you. You might use it with third-party tools. It's really very flexible and a very good way to quickly update multiple FB3000 RTUs or FB series flow computers with components or with whatever other configuration settings your operations deem necessary. I demoed to you how to save solution files and various other history and alarm reports to your PC with the script tool. I also showed you how to check the firmware version and update if required. Additionally, using recipe files, I showed you how to write components down to the FB3000 RTU or FB series flow computers, and how to use the scripts with the command line in case that meets your operational needs better. Now, by leveraging the script tool feature of DeltaV FBxConnect, users can achieve greater operational efficiency, minimize configuration errors, and maintain regular backups of important information and files. In short, script tool within DeltaV FBxConnect is not just a feature, it's a powerful tool that transforms the way you handle repetitive tasks, making your work easier, faster, and more reliable. For step-by-step examples and a listing of the various commands, please remember to take a look at the Script Developer User Manual. For any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to your Emerson Impact Partner, local world area representative, or Guardian Support for assistance. If you'd like more training, Emerson's Educational Services offers in-depth, in-person, and virtual hands-on training options. Thank you for your time. For more information, please visit emerson.com/flowcomputers and emerson.com/FB3000RTU.